So please provide a warm welcome for Bernd.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Everybody is awake. No fire. You want some? Yeah, later. Why not? Yeah, thanks for coming over. I do my best not making it too long. So last year I was absolutely in time, and a couple of people were complaining that it's too short. So we leave at 6:45. We finish earlier, I promise. So, yeah, current state of Icinga. My pleasure to do the talk every year. A short introduction for people who don't know me. My name is Bernd. I'm in the Icinga project from day one. In my other day life, I work at NETWAYS, and you can find me on Twitter using gethash if you want to. But I also have to say that I'm probably only talking about all that stuff, but there are so many other people doing it. And I would like to do if I usually say meet somebody of the team, it's like this one. But I would love to take the chance, because so many people in the room working on Icinga on daily basis, to do me a favor and say hi and stand up and say, who are you? That so many people can see which is involved. Oh, I see that energy is going through all of you. That worked out super well. So you see that all of them stand up. So you can see all the guys over there, like Blarim doing a lot in the Elastic and Logstash, Marcos quality, packaging, Thomas Elastic, Gunnar and Michael core development. Thomas is doing everything, and Icinga director. Dirk is our SE Linux specialist. Noah and Jennifer, which are new in the team, doing core. Noah and Jennifer is doing web. Jean-Marcel, Eric is our CTO and lead of the Icinga web team. So all of them working on the daily basis, and if I messed the demo up in some way, it's definitely my fault and not theirs. So they do a great job every day. So thank you very much. So I just have the honor to present it, what we achieved in the last year. So talking about the product a little bit, so just to get an idea who is using Icinga. Okay, fair enough. I'm not counting it, but it seems like I would say 70%. Somebody, and this is absolutely okay, has no idea what Icinga is or how it works? Anybody here? Yeah, Maiden, come on. You are the reason why I'm doing it in English this year the first time, because you were complaining for 5 years that you don't understand the German, right? And means you are here so often, you have to learn German. It's not so hard. What? You can speak 4 languages, right? You are from Belgium. You speak French, German, Austrian, Switzerland thing, whatever. Zwei Bier, yeah. Very. It will bring you until 7:30. Okay, so what we do, and this is really just a short thing, which is our strategical orientation. So the target in general is that we monitor anything, so monitor any application and every service and any infrastructure. How we do it, we have our core, it's Icinga 2, we have the monitoring plugins we still use, and also some other plugins in the community. Icinga Web 2 on top of it. We also kicked out the CGIs. They are no longer included in the package, so you can install it this way as well. Then we have modules on top of Icinga Web, different modules I will show you today. Also Michael showed a couple of them earlier that day. And then integration, which is a very important part for us, because we have these 3 major points for our strategy. So one thing is that monitoring as code is important for us, that monitoring is a part of your life cycle. So it means not sending somebody a ticket, please add me to the monitoring. So for us it was always important from the architecture point of view that Icinga has an API, that we work very well with other config management tools, that bringing your application, bringing your infrastructure into monitoring is something happens automatically, and that has to be done manual, because that usually never works, because at some point you go out and have a difference between us. Then making it scalable and secure. So from day one we took care of having everything using SSL certificates and all that stuff. So that was important, and coming to our stack to integrate and extend, because we decided that we don't want to reinvent the wheel and say we build our own, I don't know, time series database and our own log management. So we always had the idea that we build the foundation, the Icinga monitoring core and add-ons and integrations, and you use your favorite tool, whatever it is, if it's open source like Greylog or Elastic, or if it's Splunk, if you go to the commercial world and you have enough money to afford it. So whatever you want to use, what's your favorite tool, you use it with Icinga. So it was never our approach to have a single installation and we solve all your system management and monitoring challenges you have. Therefore, we built a lot of integrations during the last years. So all of them are working, and there are so many outside at GitHub, which is what we have nowadays, that a new integration is popping up every day and people using it with weird stuff. But that's definitely an important part where we put a lot of energy in. That Icinga works with all that stuff. It's also an effort to keep up with all that because tools changing all the time, and sometimes they break up with their API compatibility, and we have to make sure that it still works. But that's an important part, and it's also important for us that our users understand that this is our core concept. So we took care of the monitoring, and there are other tools working super good with Icinga. Talking about the community a little bit, we have a couple of users we know. Most of the users we don't know. So if you are a user and you would like to share it with us, there's a form you can type in. It's like doable in 5 minutes. I also promote this URL every year. I will do it next year as well. So it would be super interesting for us to know who is using Icinga, what are you doing with it, because we have no clue. Last year we got a very interesting submission from Ricardo that the telecom is using it in a really, really large environment. I've really never seen it in person, but I believe him because I know him personally, because he's also in the team. Not super active right now. He was very active in the CGI development, but they have a really, really scaled out Icinga setup. I don't know what they're exactly doing, but it's just mainly to do something with VDSL, DSL, endpoint, and stuff like that. So whenever your internet is not working, it's not our fault, right, to make that clear, but they do some monitoring. And another interesting thing, that is Icinga is running on the ISS. Yeah, that's an amazing story. Means it's Icinga 1, perhaps we can cut this out later on. Interesting, they would like to have some monitoring years ago, and their strategic database at that point of view was Postgres, and Nagios never had Postgres support in the NU utils. And since Michael did it at the time and built Postgres support, they have chosen Icinga. And they popped up in the mailing list somewhere, and we never met them. This year at PuppetConf in San Francisco, a guy approached me and said, what are you having and what is going on in the monitoring? And then I asked him about 10 minutes what he's doing, and he never came to a point and said, yeah, but what are you really doing? I said, yeah, we are working for NASA and doing that stuff. And so what Icinga is doing there, you can imagine that the environment there is not super agile. They change an IP address every 2 years, I guess, and they don't have an IPv6 problem. But Icinga monitors sensors for humidity, for temperature, in binary states as some logs are closed. I think it's not the life important systems monitored by Icinga. But fair enough, he said it really works for years. They're running everything on notebooks over there, so they don't have any servers. Now he told me that they're going to ship new notebooks with 24 gigabytes to the ISS because they extended the lifetime to 2024, I guess, and they're thinking about extending it more to 2028. So some more years, it's needed that they have infrastructure on the ISS. I don't think it's like a config management issue they have, but it's a really interesting thing. Having our stuff flying around the planet every day is in some ways cool, and therefore I tell you that. Another thing which we start just a couple of days ago, that we want to have more meetups locally. So there are a couple of Icinga meetups happening. We don't know, which is pretty much okay, because it's the idea of meetups that somebody say, let's meet and talk about Icinga or whatever. Thing I would like to state, if you're organizing a meetup, would like to help you doing it. Means we send some package to you, some swag, some shirts and cups and stickers, whatever. So it has to be a serious meetup, not saying you're organizing a meetup at Christmas at home that you get a free mug. That's not the idea. It's also a meetup. But if you're organizing it, wherever in Germany or you're all from over the world, and organizing a meetup, we would love to support it more in the future and help you sale. Though, let us know, there's a form, we help you promoting it, putting in our newsletter, and tell the others that this is happening. And last but not least, promoting our Icinga camp. So we have the 3rd Icinga camp in Germany next year, March the 8th in Berlin. We will also have one on the 16th of March in New York. So if somebody wants to go there, we can give you a cheap ticket, but you have to pay for the flight. But I think it's definitely worth it to go over there. Otherwise, a much closer target is going to Berlin. So if you're able to make it and register by 30th of November, you get a super 25% discount. And now my sales pitch is over. So please register. Icinga Exchange. Who is using, or who has ever put a plugin or add-on or theme or whatever on the Icinga Exchange? Oh, there is room for improvement. Oh, I got it. Icinga Exchange, we launched it a couple of years ago. As a political result, that we were not able to put Icinga modules on Argus Exchange for whatever reason. So we created our own stuff, but we didn't have the time to put so much love in it. And we now did, so we released a new one, I think, on Monday last week. Also a blog post will go out tomorrow to promote it more. The cool thing is here that you don't force the users to upload their stuff here. We can just sync it with your GitHub project and everything happens automatically. Johannes worked on that project for a couple of months, and also Michael. And I would like to show you how it worked, because I would like to promote it that you use it and put your stuff into it. So let's see if that works. I try to find a project. I have my runbook here. The only thing I would like to show you is how super easy it is. So you log on with your GitHub account, which Jennifer did, or with your Icinga account. Really? Schnurzi-Murks-Nuks? 06. Okay, so if you logged into it, create a project. Which category you would like to have it? Add-on, you put a logo in it to identify your module. I will delete it immediately after the conference, so I just put some funny logo in it. Say which name it is, Twitter growth. It's my spare time senseless project. I don't know why the text not working. Whatever. Crap. The URL to the repository. Oh, damn it. And then you create the project. Take some time. And that is everything you have to do. We sync it every night, so whatever you release, also I did a release which is not really usable, but also automatically all the GitHub releases you do are automatically in the platform. You just have to add the project and you have never do anything again. We sync it every night. We have your stuff there because we don't want to force, because it will never work to do some update and coding here. But it is a really cool platform to promote your stuff and show others in the community what you have done. Because sometimes it's really hard to find it on GitHub, what people doing. There's no release, you don't know which branch you should check out. So really, you don't have to do anything. Also, releases are added to it automatically. And also the search is pretty powerful, because if I take some, you cannot read it, but I take some crappy config word out of it and search it, it's immediately indexed. There's an Solar index database on the bottom of it, and it really works super cool. There are already plugins in there because we migrated all the other stuff. You can also see the text, whatever, I don't know what works here. And then you get the results. Super quick. So just use it. Would be nice to have your stuff there on Icinga Exchange. That's it. Okay, coming to the new stuff. One thing, we have a new docs. page, I don't know whom of you have seen it. We previously had our docs.icinga.com and did it on our own. Now Blaren redid it with mkdocs, and we have everything under icinga.com/docs. Also the main products like Icinga 2, Icinga Web Director, and all the add-ons, you can find them there. They are also searchable. We put a lot of effort into the docs. Sometimes you have the feeling that nobody's reading it. Sometimes you receive mails where it's like, really? It's really easy to install Icinga Web. So I did it last week, and if I can do it, everybody can do it. So it's really easy. Another thing is that we have the packages icinga.com. Pardon? Nah. Code of conduct violation number 1. I write it down. So we have that server for a couple of years, but now we have everything on them. So for all major distributions, we have the packages. So the release packages, all the snapshots which I'm using today, where you can also always keep up with the master if you want to do it. Means warning, right? Snapshot warning. But you can do, if you always want to have the latest shit, you can use the snapshot packages. So what's going on that server? That the number of downloads we have on the server, which is pretty interesting to see that OpenSUSE is really dead. So it looks like some stranded people on the airport still try to grab some packages, but the numbers are very clear. So in sum, I would say about 50,000 packages downloaded only last Wednesday. So there's a shitload going on the server. We were really surprised installing the Kibana and having a look on the logs with so many people using that stuff. So the next months we will spend more time to hunt down the IP addresses and find them. Because these are usually the people don't fill in the customer form. No, but for us it's amazing. So seeing so much traffic, it was not a release day, it was just a standard Wednesday. Seeing about 50,000 packages downloaded from the site, people using it all over the world. You can also create a heat map and see where they do it. It's super interesting. I'm super happy about it. Okay, talking about the stuff. So what we have the foundation, which is kind of the core products I explained to you. We have some stuff automation, Icinga Director, config management tools and APIs. And then we focused a lot this year on logging and metrics, because like I said, we heavily focusing on integration, and therefore all these tools are important to us. And that whole stack, we will do everything now. So I will guide you to everything here, hopefully. And you can see what we're doing with current Icinga stuff, some stuff we bring out next week, and what we currently have. And I think some features people don't know. And we will give it a try. To the foundation, that is our Icinga foundation, how we name it, consisting of Icinga 2.8 released last Friday, I guess. The plugins in Icinga Web 2.5 will be released next Monday. So that's the upcoming version. I think also Michael mentioned it, that we now need PHP 7, 5.6. We did a lot in the basic framework, which helped us making it much, much easier in the future. So this is our foundation you need as a product. And in the core itself, an interesting feature we have with the 2.8 is a CA proxy. Somebody played with it already and knows and has an idea what it is? Couple of people. So the thing is that all our security and our connection based is based on certificates and SSL. And sometimes if it's not a problem, if you have a cascaded infrastructure and your agents are not able to connect to the master and request a certificate, you have to do it in some way by hand, like using Puppet or your own scripts. And that was a challenge we had for a couple of years or a couple of months. And what we have right now, and it came out with the 2.8, is the CA proxy. So here's how we solved it. So I think you all get it. That is a picture of our meeting room where we designed it in about, I don't know, 2-3 days. It took a long time, but it should make clear to you what we have done with it. What we've really done with it. So the idea is, if the agent or some other Icinga, which is distributed, requesting a certificate update, he can just push it to this satellite he can reach, and they move it forward to the next master, right? We support now a cascaded scenario where you can request your certificate and forward it through another Icinga satellite or master instance, and then your assigned certificate goes back over that master back to your machine. So if you have kind of this scenario, this would be very helpful and save you a lot of work. It's sponsored by Volkswagen, and I'm happy to name it because it's cool. They paid for it. They needed it, and since open sourcing it, it helps anybody else, and it's fair enough, I think, to do a little bit marketing for them. What it also brings that you have on-demand CSR, we can proxy these requests, and you can also make auto-renewal. So you don't have to take care about your certificate stuff manually. You can auto-renewal them. If you would like to more into detail how that works, if that is something interesting for you, feel free to get in touch with Gunnar, which is starting to hiding away, or Michael or Shaw. They will explain you in detail what you could do with it. I don't have a demo because I think it doesn't make really sense to see some certificates flying by in the terminal, and I also don't know how it works. No, know how it works. I tested it out. But it's really cool. So if you have that kind of infrastructure and architecture of your monitoring environment, this is a really cool feature. So give it a try and ask us questions. We can hopefully answer them. Going to automation. Icinga Director. So Thomas is mainly responsible for Icinga Director. And usually if he's coming to the office on Monday, it looks like this. So when are you releasing it? What is the new features? What are you doing? And the reason is that if you tell you now I support this, then 5 minutes later he supports something else. So if you would like to learn more about Icinga Director, I think current release is 1.4.2, is that right? Thomas gives a talk tomorrow. I have seen a couple of his slides and ideas for the talk, so you should go there. Some interesting things that we have native support and import for VMware ESX. This template usage is pretty cool, but more about Icinga Director, because I have nothing about Icinga Director in my talk, visit Thomas' talk. So if you'd like to see more about it, go to his talk tomorrow. Sorry if I disappoint somebody who would like to see more about Director. Yeah, question of time. I'm good in time? Yeah, kind of. Another thing important for us is config management support. We released a couple of new modules for Puppet. I think version 2 for Icinga Web, and also for Icinga 2 this year. They are also officially approved by Puppet right now, so if you would like to use them, feel free. Also Chef, there's a lot of community work going on, so most of the work in the Chef area is done by somebody else, but we are pretty excited about it. We are also in the Chef Partner Program, have that cookbook in the supermarket, and something which is planned for the Chef cookbooks that we split it up, that we also have individual cookbooks for web and for core and make it more easier to use it. Also Ansible is in our roadmap in some way. I don't have a version, I don't have a time, but we know that it's important, more people using Ansible. Perhaps we find some solution for management config, as James is working a little bit faster and releasing it. This could also be interesting, but for us it's definitely important to support all these tools out there. Another thing is API. So if you work on that level, that APIs is interesting. Sometimes there's a confusion, why do you have so many different APIs? Because we have a core API, which comes with the Icinga core independent from the web interface, which provides all the mechanisms to create objects, to delete them, modify them. We have basic authentication based on passwords or certificates. We also have the possibility to grant specific access to objects. But the basic idea, I would say, for the core API is to integrate backend tools. On top of it is the Icinga Web 2 API, which is the API based on your authenticated user. Because imagine you have an Icinga Web, authenticate against an Active Directory and specific access groups. You would like to reflect that in an API. So if you do kind of a front-end development, Icinga Web 2 API is a good idea. If configuration management and using Director, also Director has his own API. This is necessary because Director, for example, has his own idea about objects. He has his own state, his own database, and director needs to know if you would like to add a new host or services, you have to tell him that on the next deploy run he publishes that configuration to the server. And therefore there's really a reason to have 3 APIs. If you don't know which one to use, please ask us. My goal was to make it a little bit more clear with that slide. I don't know if that worked out, but we will figure out later, hopefully. Okay, leaving the automation part, going to login. So what are the challenges? And the challenges we see right now with logging is that at some point we would like to access monitoring events, so we would like to see what's going on in the monitoring. Processing external events, so some issues, some events occurring outside the Icinga ecosystem, for example an SNMP trip or whatever, how we can deal with it. Monitoring the monitor in some way, and also have kind of an umbrella management where you can get a quick view at our logging data, have it in the Icinga web, and then go to another interface for deeper analysis. So what we have done here. Who's familiar with elastic beats? Okay, I don't know how many percent, let's say 80. Idea, Icinga beats are small components responsible for connecting somewhere, shipping information to Elastic. So imagine, for example, FileBeat or PacketBeat introspects network packages. FileBeat goes, ships specific files on your system, which you can configure to Elastic for data analysis. You don't need these Logstash installed locally, so Icinga beats are very lightweight and they usually have their own function. Means metric beats or WinLog beat, you can imagine for Windows log. And what released this year is an Icinga beat. So what the Icinga beat does, and it's important to know that the Icinga beat is an independent component, could theoretically run everywhere in your network and connects to the Icinga API. So what it does, the Icinga beat connects to the Icinga API and based on the configured parameters, deals with events and put them in Elasticsearch. I will show you how that works later. But important is that you have to start Icinga beat as an individual component, connect to the API, and work with that events you're interested in. Another cool thing is the Logstash output. So if you're working with Logstash, you know that Logstash has so many outputs. The only way to interact with Icinga was the old Nagios output, where you have to write something to the command file. Nobody really sober wants to do it. So Logstash gives you the Logstash output gives you a much better possibility using the Icinga API and creating and dealing with external events. And what's really cool, if you get an event for an existing host or server, so imagine you get an SNMP trap somewhere and you would like to add it to the monitoring and deal with it, you can just put it in. But also if your service does not exist because you never know that it exists out there, the Logstash output automatically uses the core API and creates that services for you. So an event you don't know that is occurring is handled by the Logstash output and creates the services. So who knows that this feature exists? Well, that's not so many. Hopefully our own people know that it exists, but I'm not sure. But it's really interesting because that is, I assume that a lot of people have no idea that you can do that stuff, and I will show you how that works. And before that, I would like to give you a short view on the Elasticsearch module. So what it is to solve that umbrella management idea is that directly into Icinga Web you have a chance to connect to Elasticsearch database, whether you're using Elasticstack or using Graylog. You can directly connect to it, you can configure patterns and see every related data in the Elasticstack related to your host in the Icinga Web without leaving the web interface. So, German word. So. So is a German word. So usually if people don't do anything, they yell out "so" every half an hour. Because then you assume they had did something before, right? Later. More and more coming through the talk. Means you're always complaining that I'm not doing it in English. Now I'm doing it in English and now we have problems again. So what can I do? Spanish. Okay. So yeah. I'm going through that. So first of all, I try to show you Icinga beat a little bit. So the configuration of Icinga beat is pretty straightforward. You can go to the, right now the packages are still on GitHub, so they're not at the packaging server right now. Is it correct, Blair? Right? Yeah. So you go on GitHub Icinga, Icinga beat, you download the packages, install them, and then they configure under etc Icinga beat. There are a couple of example templates for it, and I go to the Icinga beat YAML, and I cannot type. Yeah, I have also issues. So what happens? So it is not the first time. So the idea of the Icinga beat, because I told you before, Icinga beat can run somewhere in your infrastructure, that you configure your Icinga API host, say where it's running. Here in my example, it's the local VM, the port, the user, password. If you skip SSL, verify. And then the more important thing is that you can configure the kind of events you are interested in. Means these kind of events are going on in your monitoring, right? There's a check result coming in, some state changes, notification, or you would just be alerted if somebody sets an acknowledgement. So for whatever action happens in the monitoring, you can tell Icinga beat, this is what I'm interested in. I would like to know if somebody removes a downtime, for example, because you have a lazy admin who doesn't care and say, okay, I remove the downtime here. Or whatever of these actions, you configure them here. And then the only thing, independent from different intervals, you can configure is where to put it, and then Icinga beat directly writes it to your Elasticsearch instance, which is also, in that example, configured on my host, but like I said before, it can run wherever. So in this case, Icinga beat is running, it's connected to the core API, it's just a process running here. Nothing more, and you can see him shipping data to Elasticsearch. If we go there, opening Kibana, you have different indexes. Reason why is that you can separate your data with different indexes. I also have a couple of other demos working on the Icinga beat. So what you have with the Icinga beat, you see all the current events occurring on the monitoring system. In that case, it's just check results coming on, which is at that view not very helpful. I get that. You can also go in the detail area to see more which hosts are responsible for different messages. Definitely get it. I have 5 hosts. It doesn't make sense here, right? I can count them by hand. In a large environment, this is pretty helpful. But since you usually don't want to go to the discover mode, we also have a sample dashboard for it. One thing is, for example, the Icinga beat status, where you can really see how many endpoints are connected. You can see the amount of service checks going on, the amount of host checks. The view is a little bit too small. The states of hosts, so you get a big overview on all your data going on, especially if you really have like thousands of services. So it's super helpful to get more data analysis on your data. To give you another example, could be the check results, where at that point of view you give an information. So if you, in your production you have so many criticals, you have a problem as well. But just to give you an idea, you can create everything Kibana can do. It's just an example. If you're familiar with Kibana, it's pretty easy. If not, it takes you some while to learn it, but you can do whatever you want. So the power is in the data, and you can create whatever view on your data what you want. Also, notification is interesting. For example, everything is coming out of the beat, where you can see what notification types are going on, which server is responsible for it, and you can also go into the detail and work with the data on a single dashboard, because every time we use it and would like to set a filter on something and we choose the Icinga demo host, then it filters all other views, right? They all belonging to each other and they use the same filter. So analyzing Icinga beats data with the dashboard is really cool. Any questions to the beat? Okay, then the beat goes on. Yeah.
The old method to integrate Icinga in Elasticsearch was via log file, I guess.
Can you repeat the question, please? Yeah.
integrate Icinga 2 data, monitoring data,
Yeah.
into Elasticsearch, was via a log file output from Icinga 2, and then integrate with Elasticsearch?
Yeah, I repeat the question for the cameras. The question is what the old way was to ship log data to Elastic. There were various ways, so you can also use Logstash, install it locally, and ship log files to it. There was a Gelf output we have for a longer time. You can ship Gelf output to Logstash and then forward it. But we never had that chance to actively access Icinga 2 and getting out the metrics of Icinga. So logs is more, let's say, a passive way, because you get something and then whatever you get, you put it into Elastic. So it's perhaps there's, in some areas, it's the same data, but it's a different approach. Depend on your needs, that at some point it's absolutely okay that you get all your log files, ship them, but also if you ship a standard log file to Elastic, you have to take care about the pattern match, right? Of the regex, of grok filtering and all that stuff. So you have to take care to make some event really into valuable data. And that's the work you have to do. And this way around, you don't have to do anything. You just configure, reinstall the beat, and get everything in a well-formatted information to the Elastic database. And then, of course, you need a Graylog or a Kibana to make something valuable out of it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So it's kind of another approach. We also have another thing, which is the Elastic Writer, which is new with Icinga 2.8, but I will cover that later on. Okay. Talking about the beat, I would like to talk about the Logstash output. So if you all remember, we have information sometimes could happen and we don't know that this service exists, and we would like to have that information in Icinga. But before I show you the Logstash output, I'll show you the new Icinga Web 2, which is, damn it. As you can see, we have a new login screen. Yes, I love it. Thanks, Florian. Where is he? Okay, already fall asleep. That was, please say the energy was here for a second. So Florian did the login screen. It also works in different resolutions, of course. And I log into the Icinga web. This all will be in Icinga Web 2.5 coming next Monday. Okay. Thank you. Another thing before I go to the Logstash, you see that we have darkened the menu. We have also something, if you need more space, you can collapse the menu. Yes. I'm also allowed to clap because I'm not responsible, and I'm really excited about it as well. So we can open it again, and you can also close it again and open it again. It's really, so we would like to see it again, so we, okay. Another important thing is that, okay, I don't overdo it. So usually the main menu points didn't have any function because they just help you to fly in the menu. That also in the reduced mode now we have for every, let's say, major point in the menu, we have kind of a small overview, which is especially helpful for the mobile interface. You don't need it here. We also have a new tactical overview. So definitely more to come on that base. I don't know if you remember the old big tiles we have. So there's a lot of small improvements in the UI, or I would say especially means see it, big improvements in the menu. But there a lot of work was done under the hood in the basic framework in the Icinga PHP library. So there's definitely more to come in the future about that. But that's the main topic, just would like to show it. So definitely you can install it on Monday or play around with the snapshot packages, which I did now. Okay, let's go to the host. I have a host named Logstash demo, just as a couple of services, which is load ping, SSH, nothing fancy. Okay, Logstash. Going to the conf to show you what we have here. configuring the Logstash output. So in that example, because I don't have so much infrastructure connected to my sample, I would like to give you an idea what the fundamental concept of the Logstash output is. So what we have here, we have one input, we have one output, and we have some logic in the middle. So we get the input from standard in, which is my sample, to give you an idea how it works. We have some filters, which is really helpful if you would like to convert messages out of log file to an Icinga readable state. That is okay is a 0, for example, so we have to do that work. And then in the Icinga output, we configure the destination. The same is used like in the Icinga beat, so we have to configure our host, user, password and everything. We configure a host, within this case is hard-coded with Logstash demo, but you can also take out the host name of your filter or of your incoming log files and take that host name as a variable. Because, of course, this will not work in a production environment because hopefully not all your servers are named Logstash demo. Then I have a service, which is passive event service, right? And if you remember, we don't have that service in Icinga. It's not configured on that host. And what we configured here is that at the time we receive something, we would like to do an action. In that case, we would like to process a check result. Like in the Icinga bit, we can also deal with all the other internal actions Icinga provides. So, for example, reacting on some pattern happening in Logstash, we can also configure a downtime. We set an acknowledgement, so we can deal with all the passive events out there and fire out an action in Icinga. I create some attributes, and the standard out is just the information I put in. Does it make sense so far? Great. I'm not setting anything on fire, but it makes sense. That's cool. So I start Logstash, because it's not running, because it's my standard in. It takes some time. God knows why. Also, other people know why. And then just give you an idea. I hope you can all make the imagination that this usually comes out from a log file, from your messages, from your firewall log, from whichever source. In that case, it's just an example to provide this passive event. So I have just a Logstash demo OSMC arrow application where we matched the arrow and put it to a critical. And after my Logstash is up, hopefully soon, is there something coming? No, that's it, right? Probably using let's see. That's how live demos work. And then going here, you see the service. So immediately, the service is created. We try to process the result. Then we figure out the service does not exist. Then we create the service, and then we add the check result. So now you can deal with everything out there, SNMP traps in your monitoring, add a Logstash dummy service, whatever, to your Icinga, and have everything in the interface, which I think is pretty cool. And also, if you get an info that everything is okay, you can also put that and then see that everything is okay. That's it, but I think it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, but what if I use, for example, the director to manage all my configuration? I'm basically adding a new configuration out of nowhere. So how can I make this to work with my configuration management?
Interesting question. So one thing is that it would be able to also do it with the director API if you want that scenario. We don't have it right now. Another thing is that also you can work in somewhere with both worlds. Right now, I would say this, perhaps somebody else has a better explanation, but in my opinion, this is a way where director is not included. would it be a problem, Thomas, because you're sitting here, that we add that service and director still does his own logic? Not really, right? So you can just merge it together. Have your Icinga director information and have your passive event information auto-created by the Logstash output, for example. So there's no exclusivity demand that you only can use a specific tool. Yeah.
But if I think such an event has a reason. So it's maybe something.
Sorry, what is
I think when such an event pops up, it's it has a reason, and that's maybe because this is a service which I didn't have documented anywhere, and I still want to monitor it. So there should be a way. It's cool that it's created, but there should be also a way so I can tell the overlaying system which actually creates my services that there is something new which I have to monitor also. So some kind of bagpipe. I don't know how to call it. Yeah, save the director button. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't do a pull request, Tom. No chance. Means, yeah, technically. On the other way, I think that in general your configuration should have some way of logic which is somewhere else. Means in your configuration management, your CMDB, whatever you use, there should be the heart of your infrastructure organization. And means at that point it's just an example. But I think everybody, or not everybody, but I know a lot of people who have that need for submitting something which they don't know before, and that it's just a way. Means you can also probably deal with Logstash, write some Ruby code, triggering the director API, wait for the next deploy. The only thing is that it could take some time, and what to do with the result. Yeah, but imagine you trigger whatever API, you said, okay, I get a new passive event. I would let know my master CMDB director that I have a new service, but it then can take some time until every node knows what's going on. But at this time, what are you doing with the check result? Means you can perhaps cache it in some way. I think right now, the best thing is to combine it. Means having the information in director and also dealing with that as an additional idea, dealing with the events. Ja, wir haben ja Zeit.
Sorry. So for how long does this object exist? Forever?
Forever.
Okay.
We don't delete it. I don't know. We are not sure. The thing is right now is that it's the point when we say if it's okay, we delete it. Nobody will ever see that something happened. So I don't know if there's the truth and there's the correct way, but we think if something occurred in some way and we send out a notification or we did something with it, deleting that service afterwards is perhaps not a cool idea. Because then somebody goes to Icinga Web and they would like to search for a specific service and it's gone because we deleted it using the API. But I also get that some people could have the demand for only showing errors and then removing it, which is technical. I would say it's no problem to empower the Logstash output to do that as well and provide that as an additional scenario and configuration object, but right now it's not able to do it.
One short question, though this is finally successful for the event DB. Can we say that?
Oh no. Yeah.
Functionality-wise.
Yeah, kind of. Let's say the event DB, if somebody knows, it was created at a time where all these hipster tools did not exist. And what we had to do to, for example, deal with the SNMP is like patching SNMPTT, writing it to a database model, and then having a view on the event DB. Still, an event DB view exists if somebody has that legacy method, but I think all these other tools provide so much more functionality. Also, they are free. Right, all the Elastic Stack, everything, also Greylog is open source, means you have some enterprise options like the XPack you can buy, but they have so much power in the analysis that I personally would not recommend using EventDB anymore. I don't know what the future brings. Perhaps somebody here has a different opinion, but I think it's better to go this way. And also with the next demo is I show you how we can bring it back to the Icinga web. Because the next thing is the Elasticsearch module. So we have a host, we have more hosts, we have the Icinga demo. Before I show you that, I show you the configuration, which I don't see. Yeah, it's just, what? The Elasticsearch module. The Elasticsearch module, what it does, it connects to another Elasticsearch instance, right? So you can configure one or multiple Elasticsearch instances, and based on that Elasticsearch instance, you can create event types. Because perhaps for specific hosts, services, environments, you're interested in a specific type of events. So in that example, can you read it? Kind of. We have two event types. So one thing is the file beat all, where we just would like to see every beat related to the host name. So we just have the host name filter out of the filter language Icinga Web 2 provides. And another way, we have a combination. So we say the host name must match, and also we would like to make sure that we only see log information related to secure, for example, the secure log. So we can have multiple of that event types also based on different elastics. So you can create multiple types of them. And how that looks like is we go into overview, going to the host, going to Icinga demo, and then we have an Elasticsearch event time hook, which is an action on that. And here you see in real time the information Elastic gets for that specific host. So every time you ship a log to Elastic, immediately it's going to be refreshed, I don't know, every 10 seconds right now, you get that information. You can select the file beat, the event type over here, which is right now file beat all. You see everything related, but you can also go to a file beat secure and then only see information coming out by the secure log. So if you go to the terminal, I have to stop the log switch again. Connect to that host, which I don't do. Perhaps it takes some while, but we ship the information with FileBeat in that example. I have a FileBeat installed on my machine to the machine, and you can see what's going on in log files. So imagine whatever expression, whatever event type we would like to see. This is also, to be honest, a very early version. We will pre-release it also next Monday. More ideas we have is like filtering, perhaps making it more clear that you look for a specific pattern, giving it color, that it makes it more easy. Also, if you want to really deep analysis, you go to Kibana, but it just gives you an impression. Also, you can have a detailed look on the full object in Elasticsearch, and you can see what's going on. So it just helps for a quick view to see what's going on in the system without leaving the interface. Also, if you go to the file beat all, we see a little bit more, and you see the mail log and see that I'm not able to do mailing on my local machine in some way. Okay, I think we are good in time. I'm at halfway, I would say. Okay, let's go back. Don't be afraid. That's it for the logging part. Metrics. The metrics thing was important for us from day one, so that we can store metrics in some way to another time series database, forward them to Elastic, because also Elastic is putting more and more efforts in making Elastic a more powerful time series database, also with TimeLion. You have very powerful expressions and math functions to work with it, and also integrate a basic graphing into Icinga Web without having the need to go to Grafana or some other tool which you prefer all the time, just to have a quick view on a load, for example. That is the three things we had in mind for that. What we have, which is none of this is new, that we have writers for all these databases. So for perf data, which is still heavily used, working with PHP works super good. For Graphite, InfluxDB, OpenTXDB. So if you're able to deal with Hadoop, you can use OpenTXDB as well, or anything else. Which is new is the Elastic Writer. Something coming with version 2.8, so a week ago, that we can directly ship our performance data to the Elasticsearch instance. What we do is we just enable the feature and ship all the data to Elastic for later analysis with Kibana. Also, Grafana supports Elasticsearch as the backend. So whatever front end you would like to use, you can use Grafana or you can use Kibana for it. Also sponsored by Wolfsburg. They needed that feature, and again, thanks to them for sharing it with all of you. Yeah. They are not here, they're building cars right now, but we tell them that you loved it. And also our new graphite module, which is also coming out next Monday, which gives you basic graphs directly in Icinga Web. I will show you that in the demo, but I also would like to state this is not a replacement for Grafana. So the idea is not redeveloping Grafana. The idea is that with the standard checks, the standard performance information, you get a quick overview. For deeper analysis, you can go somewhere else, but it gives you a short overview. And how that looks, I will show you in a demo. So the Elastic Rider is nothing you can see. The only thing is you can see is Icinga, Elasticsearch. The same here. We configure host port. The index we would like to use where we write the performance data in. An important thing by default, I think enabled send perf data is false. You have to enable it to have true to get the perf data into Elastic. Let's go to Kibana. First of all, you see all that information in the Icinga 2 index. So everything you have here, it is not super helpful. But Kibana has a very powerful visualization framework. And I would hopefully show you how you can create a graph in a minute. So we create, I was too fast. So we create a new visualization object. We say it's a basing chart, it's an area. We say the index is Icinga because this is where we store all the metrics data in. Then we say we need a x-axis, let's say the bottom. We need a date histogram, means it's like a time series. And then we need other metrics for it. Then we choose an aggregation, say an average, say we need a load every minute, and then custom label for it, it's load 1. Then we add another one. Load 15. Then we remove that count, and we have our graph data in Kibana. Yeah, amazing. It's a graph. It's living. Means it's just a sample. It's no template, but you can do everything in Kibana, which is pretty cool. Is if you have a dashboard with graphs and you filter a specific graph out, all the others deal with it. So it's here just a simple load. You can stack them. You can do whatever if you're familiar with it. Don't know if that makes sense, but you are super flexible. However, you have to decide if that fits for you. So if you're a super good Grafana user, absolutely okay. But if the Elastic Stack, if Kibana is something for you, this could be pretty helpful. In a more advanced way, I have a dashboard for it, where we see just a couple of examples. So here's, for example, you can do deviation also with Kibana logic. We can do more with timeline. We have these tachometers. I don't know, some people love it. And also you have all the load here, can threshold. So you have so many graphical objects you have in Kibana, and you can work with the metrics coming out of Icinga too. Like I said, it takes some time, but if you're familiar with the interface, it's really, really powerful. Now I forgot what I would like to say. I'd like to show you. Yes. So that's it for the Kibana, the graphite module. I installed the module. Module installation is super easy. Right now we don't have packages for every module, but this is something which is on our roadmap, that for every Icinga Web 2 module, we also have on our package server a package. But it's just wget the current release package, put it in your modules folder, unzip it, and then you have it in the configuration. You see that graphite module, where you configure a backend, localhost graphite in that case, where you have your installed graphite installation. What is that? What's wrong? You complaining later? Okay, I can live with it. You just define your URL, and then if you go to the services view, you get a quick graph here on the right-hand side. We have our own template stuff. We have all the basic templates you need for load and disk and all that stuff in there. You can also show more and see all that graphs for the disk on the right-hand side. I know that there are thousands of graphing solutions out there. It's pretty cool because it's no effort. So if you have graphite, so imagine you have it already. This is probably the harder part, installing graphite, but I come to that later. You just enable the module, they have your graphs, and what we also have is kind of an overview where you get all graphs for specific hosts or objects together in a single graph. So imagine you have specific service, you would like to compare them all each other. It also works with the standard Icinga syntax. You say load. Hopefully I was not too fast. And you see then your load graphs for all your machines. It's pretty new. We worked on that for a couple of months. Also will be released on Monday. Please give us your feedback. Perhaps make a pull request for your templates. We would love to improve it more. We have some ideas that we're making it even more convenient to play with the data, to select specific things. But like I said before, we have not the idea of having a graphical editor where you can decide what the load bar, which color it has, and all that stuff. So if you would like to have that, go to Grafana. But for a short overview, I think it's pretty cool. Okay, I'm done with the demo so far. Roadmap. What's coming? I think the most funniest thing is this year. Somebody from America here? I'm sorry, we have our own problems as well. But he's too good. There is always something coming on, all this stuff to do. Last year we talked about IcingaDB. Somebody of you remember? And I said we will have IcingaDB in reporting this year. We don't have it. There are different reasons. I think the most important reason, we didn't have the time to do it. It's still on our roadmap. So we already started this year. We had a couple of weeks and months where we try to figure out how we can deal with the monitoring data, not metric-based, since state information for reporting and all that, we have to change a lot of components because we have to change something in the core where we write out the data. Icinga Web, also reporting, which is, it has to be after the new database because reporting fundamental needs the database model, right? And it doesn't make sense for us to bring it in the current version. So it's still on our roadmap. We will have it next year. And I hope that I don't have to use it animated GIF next year. But on the other hand, it doesn't make sense to tell you any other story. So we would love to have it right now. We don't have it. I hope you don't need it. But it's definitely an issue. So we have to deal with it. It's something which consumes a lot of energy. And I herewith promise that we have it next year and I can hopefully show it. What we will have next Monday, we will release Icinga Web 2. So please read all the changelogs and information for installing it because of the new PHP version you need. Also Graphite module and Elasticsearch. The new Icinga Web and especially also the modules need the newer version, so we have to do something. So please go through the documentation. In Q1, we will release Noma. Noma is the notification manager, is something where you can configure all your notification groups and all that, like shift, night shift, on duty, calendars, all the thing in the web interface. We had a very old version years ago, and we already have a new one, but it's not release ready. But we make sure that it's ready earlier next year. So hopefully, I have to look at Eric, we can show it at Icinga Camp Berlin. I hope so in March, and have Noma there. Another thing is that we would like, and we already did, put a lot of effort making Icinga installation much easier. So bringing all that components we have regarding the foundation, all that modules, integration, all that thing, making it more easy to install them, keeping up to date with the newest version, and making the glue fixing and combining all these different components much smaller and providing it. It will be pre-built, so we have all the packages in the future on our package server. We will support that integration. It will be fully open source, so we will be no enterprise whatever thing. What we will do is that we package some external third-party apps, for example, Graphite, for people having a support. Because installing Graphite could be a pain in the ass. And we invested a lot of time and energy, and therefore also money, to making it much, much easier. And this is very important for us, bringing that in next year, making it more convenient, using all these moving targets and making it easier. Was there a question somewhere? I thought so. No. Okay. And just talking, and I'm close to finish. Graphite. You have a question? Do we plan to? If we plan to align the version numbers, I would say not yet. So we haven't discussed it. Right now we have Icinga 2.8. At some point we were together, but then we figured out that for specific needs, feature reasons, we don't have the same version number. I don't know if it's necessary. I think we haven't never talked about it. Right now it's not a thing, I would say. The thing with Graphite, if it's really complicated. So who thinks he can install Graphite in like 10 minutes without using synthesizer on Ubuntu? In 5 minutes? Okay, fair enough. But it could be complicated installing Graphite, because you have a lot of different components. We can go all through this. What you all have to do, like pip and pop and all that thing, to get your Python components together. Yeah, pop is pretty new. It's coming out soon. So Graphite is really cool, and Graphite as a tool, I think it sets the foundation that metrics is really a thing. I know there are so many others on the market, so InfluxDB is definitely also popular because it made all this effort you have to put in a Graphite installation much, much easier. But I think still Graphite sets the foundation using the API, providing metrics, and it's really, really still a cool time series database, which is very flexible and powerful, but on this installation is a pain in the ass. And that is something we took care of, and I would like to show you how we did that. It only takes 2 minutes, 2 commands. Yeah. Real time. Really? 2 commands. It's really cool. So we already have it. You can see it because I used it. I don't know when we have it, but I also think earlier next year. Just to do a quick recap, what we have and what's important. We have all the things, and I hopefully was able to show you that Icinga is powerful, but it's really, really powerful if you use it with other tools. If you use it with integrations, whether it's Graylog, Elastic, your favorite metrics front-end database. So we hopefully can deal with all of them. So let's say we can deal with all the popular ones. And that's really important for us, and that this also will drive us the next year. So please install from the Icinga package server, not because we would like to increase our number of installed packages. Also, if you have OpenSUSE and would like to increase the number, please do it. The thing is, we would like to have you using the package service, because that is the thing we're working on a daily basis directly from our Jenkins. We push the packages here, they will be always up to date. So build your individual monitoring stack. So please give us feedback. So many of us are here. Give us your ideas, give us the integration. We're already waiting for it and we don't have it, because that's our goal, that you can probably interact with everything you have. Give us feedback. So like I said, whatever you have, let us know. And definitely enjoy the evening event. Later on at 6:45, you still have an hour time, which is excellent, I would say. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Are you ready to fall asleep? Questions? Is it all? No questions? Don't be shy. No fire. Anything? Is the only thing you would like to do is go out here? Fair enough. Enjoy your night. Thank you.